Welcome to the Path Podcast, where we will travel the lives of some bold women, from dreams to detours to destiny. She did not choose this path chose her. This is the Path Podcast. Welcome back, Path listeners, to another episode of the Path Podcast with your sister, your motivator, your confidence builder, the one who believes that purpose is bigger than obstacles. Well, Path listeners, I want you to sit back and walk this journey with me of another bold woman that I've invited into the Path Podcast. I discovered this young lady on Instagram. I find a lot of bold women are out there, and she was already out there doing the work, sharing her story. My guest today is none other than CeeCee McGriff. Let me tell you a little bit about CeeCee, and it will tell you what we will be talking about today. CeeCee McGriff, she is the founder of Survive and Live, a nonprofit created to encourage other survivors to boldly tell their stories of how they made it through their treatments, surgeries, and all the after effects. She firmly believes that every time you tell your story, cancer loses its power. CeeCee is a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and the last diagnosis resulted in a decision to have a double mastectomy with reconstruction. CeeCee is a proud mother of 2 adult children and a proud grandmother of 2. Path listeners, so help me welcome my guest today, CeeCee McGriff. Hello, CeeCee. How are you today?
Hi, Arlene. I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me. I find it to be such an honor.
No, thank you. It's an honor. People say that, but it's always an honor to me that people come in and share their stories, because I find those like-minded people who believe that when we share our stories, it's something you posted that I was going to share later, that you say, it helps other people to know they're not alone, that they can make it through
Definitely.
whatever this journey is that they're going through. So thank you.
No problem. I find it's like a joy to finally be able to go ahead and do that.
Let me tell you, CeeCee, when I start the show, I have a signature question I love to ask all of my guests. Tell me about the younger CeeCee who thought she had life all figured out around 16, 18. What were your hopes and dreams, and are you doing it today?
Well, those dreams were to be married to a basketball player, have 2.3 kids, a big house,
yes,
and all those things that come with that. I'm nowhere near that. None of that happened at all. I'm still single.
You still
I don't think you get any more single than what I am right now.
Yeah. But you know what,
I was a single mother.
Uh-huh.
I was a single mother at 19.
Mm-hmm.
I had my first child. I had my second child, my youngest child, in my late 20s. And it's just been me and them since then.
You know what? I understand that journey, and a lot of us are not where we wanted to be. And with that basketball player or whomever it is, or whatever our story was, but I can understand that story you're talking about right there. That was mine later on. It's like, okay, it's not going the way I thought it would, but okay. I know you got a purpose and a plan, so I'm trying to still sit here and figure it out. I'm trying not to help him along.
Exactly. You're talking about detours and exits and reroutes and U-turns. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's life. That's life. To tell the truth.
Right.
Well, CeeCee, thank you again for coming in. And I did, when I discovered your page and Survive and Live, it really touched my heart, because to see how you're so bold out there telling your story. Something I saw that you wrote on your page that really caught my attention you said on September 28th, 2016, I got the news that cancer had returned in my breast. Time stood still. I was still grieving the death of my mother, who had just recently passed away several months earlier. But I'm still here, and a movement was born, Survive and Live. Take us back to that day when you wrote something like that. what was happening in 2016?
Well, like I said, I had just buried my mother like several months earlier. So you're never prepared for the
Never.
death of your parent. We were prepared. We knew it. Um, she was in the end stage of Alzheimer's and she was in hospice. So we were ready, but you're never ready. So moving forward, we're still grieving. I was living in another state. I didn't have my family with me. And it was time for my routine mammogram. So I go and they took it and they said, well, something, yeah, we see something. And we want you to come back for a biopsy. Now, previous years, they always used to say they saw something. They would look at it, come back and say it's nothing. But this time it felt different.
Mm-hmm.
So even before I went back for the biopsy, I had already prepared myself that something's wrong. So I went back for the biopsy, came back, they called me and said it was cancer. So I went in the car and I'm crying. And that's when I'm like, this cannot be happening again. This came out of nowhere. I wasn't prepared for it because I'm thinking it's just something they see it, whatever. I'm older, I have dense breasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. But this time it was that. And I was completely blown absolutely away and completely unprepared for that. Because I just knew I had beat it and it wasn't never coming back because so many years had passed. And again, I think I told you this before. This is the second diagnosis. The first diagnosis was I was young, but I can't tell you exactly all of those things that happened because I muted that part of my life out. But I just knew I was okay and was never coming back. I don't know what made me believe that, but I was just maybe just hoping that it wouldn't come back again. But for them to tell me it was back again was real devastating. And then in that moment, I knew that there was no way I was going to be able to keep my breast because it came back in the other breast this time. So I had already made the decision mentally after talking. So like my sister, I'm going to have a double mastectomy. I'm going to have to remove both my breasts. And that was just a whole nother mountain to climb.
So let me ask you this, CeeCee, with all of that, and you, like you said, you were not believing it would come back. When you made that decision, was it a quick decision to for you at the time to say, I have to do a double mastectomy, or it took time still after going through the process of dealing with the second diagnosis?
No, it was instantaneous. A couple of days. I talked to, like I said, my sister and other people, and it was just like it just makes sense to just have them removed. If it seems like it's just going to come back, let's just go ahead and remove it. Now, a couple of years before that, I had a complete hysterectomy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why I'm in my head, like my uterus and everything is gone. I shouldn't have any more problems with breast cancer, but it came back. So I'm like, it's just, I don't know what this is, but I'm just going to just remove my breast. And making that decision the way I did, I'm thinking it was going to be easy, but that surgery was hard. That part right there was something else. That double mastectomy. I wasn't fully prepared for that recovery process for that. And I wish I'd have asked more questions.
Okay, that's and that's the point I was about to ask you. Also, did you feel like the doctors, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know still, and sometimes what to ask. Do you feel like it's something they could have helped try to prepare you better with, or if you felt like if you had an organization that it'll be good if they had somebody sit down and say, this is the hard truth about how this is, what to expect, or you think it was just more personally to you?
I think it was more personally me because the minute they said the cancer was back, I immediately went into survivor mode. Yes. So to me, being in survivor mode meant putting my head down and just doing what I had to do to live. And I didn't ask questions because I just trusted they would tell me what to do. I would do what they tell me to do, and I would live. So immediately going into survivor mode for me, and being depressed at that time and being filled with anxiety meant I just shut down. And that's what I normally do. And I disassociated myself. So I just put my head down, and whatever they told me to do, whatever appointments they said I had to take, whatever the medicine they said I had to take, I just did it. So it was more for me. I should have asked more questions. I should have did more research, but I wasn't able to mentally or emotionally.
And Path of listeners, I think when we hear that, it makes sense to me. We can't say we understand because we've never walked your shoes. And I do understand at least the part you saying you just put your head down and just went into survival mode, which makes sense. And what a lot of us do, even if it was something else, divorce and some of the other things that people deal with in their lives, they put their head down and just go with the process and emotions, which is totally different because you're fighting for your life in a different regard than, someone else dealing with divorce and other things, even though people do fight for their lives in that as well. I see why you said what you said and why you did what you did. And knowing now those questions, and that's why you're telling your story, it will help someone else. So now if you talk to people, because I don't know, are you around a lot of people when you're sharing your story? Are you getting a lot of people coming to you more these days, talking to you about this, or are you just starting like your nonprofit or trying to grow this to see where you take it?
So what happened was, without me even knowing it, when I was taking chemotherapy, you take it. I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy, and you take it every 2 weeks. So I had already said, like, I don't have any control over anything. So what I wanted control over was how I showed up to chemo. So I started to wear different outfits to chemo. So the second, my second chemo, I dressed up because it was around Mardi Gras. So I dressed up for that. Then the next time I dressed up, St. Patrick's Day. So I had on the green and this big old green wig and this stuff on. And then the next time I dressed up in like a little fairy princess thing. It's just something every time. Yeah. And then that process was recovering out loud. Like I would take a picture every time I had chemo. I would take a picture of me in my outfit next to the chemo machine and take the picture. Yeah. And the last chemotherapy I had, I went to a thrift store and bought a prom gown. I had a jacket made, and I showed up, and that was the end of chemo. And so in that, I think that's when Survive and Live was born. I just didn't know it then. Yeah. That I was just recovering and telling my story in the best way that I knew how, which was to take the picture. That was just my outlet. Yes. And then because I was in another state and my family was in New Jersey and all my friends, that was just a way of letting them know that I was okay. And they didn't have to worry. Yes. And so that's when all of this started to come out. Like this was, and people would say, like, you're inspiring me. I was having a bad day until I saw your picture of you taking picture and you're so strong and thank you. And people would text me and send me inboxes on Facebook. And that's what really just encouraged me. Like it's helping people, no matter how bad I felt. I was encouraging people to, no matter what you're going through, you can make it. If you just go on ahead and do it, you can do it. It's scary, but it can be done. Yes.
And let me tell you, just the way you say you did it with posting the pictures a certain way, you just don't know what, like, you just definitely articulated all of it, what it does to another person, because the other person who is going, just looking, just trying themselves, as you would know better than anybody, it takes a lot just to go in there to have to get it. And you have to do it, but just to even do that, I bet some people could do it, just get themselves up to just go. And you made the effort of doing it differently and doing it.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard to do that. Yeah. Because I think what the thing with chemotherapy is, I don't think everybody understands, is you take the chemo, you're sick, you can't eat, you're horrible. And then you start to feel better that second week. And the minute you start to feel like yourself again, it's time to go back and do it again. Yes. And that's the hard part. Like I'm okay. I hate every part of this, but now I'm feeling better. And now I have to go back and do it again. Yeah. 5 more times, because I had to do it 6 times. I got to go back and do it again. And that was the mental part of it. Yes. It's like I feel like like I'm dying. Yes. But this is to keep me alive.
Just to keep you alive.
So I have to do it. Yeah.
And let me tell you something interesting I saw on your page that you posted on Instagram. You posted, and I had never saw it written this way, or it was something, a post you made, and then you commented on it. But it was just profound to me that you said you called it an amputation. And it was interesting. And I'm like, when you had the mastectomy, I'm jumping over to the mastectomy again. When you said you had that, and I'm like, wow, I've never thought of it that way, which is truly basically what it is, basically.
I was always thinking that, and I saw that on somebody else's page, and it smacked me in the face. Like, I had my body parts removed.
Yes.
That's an amputation. You can, it's, the technical term for it is mastectomy, because I guess you have to have a technical term for it. But I had to have my breast removed. That's my body parts. As a young girl, that's the first thing you'd start looking for. Beyond past getting the administration,
yes,
you get your breast.
Yes.
And that what makes you, besides everything else, your breast is like, I'm a woman because I got breasts now. I can wear a bra.
Yes.
I had to have that removed. That's part of my womanhood.
Exactly.
So to speak. Doesn't necessarily make me a woman, but that's part of being a woman, is having breasts.
Of course it
that's
is.
how you makes you attractive to the opposite sex or whatever. That's what that is. And I had to have those removed. And they had to cut so much of my skin that part of my skin was donated from a skin bank. Really? So all of the skin on my breast is not mine. It was donated. And we didn't find that out until after surgery.
Really?
So they had to remove my areolas, my nipples, and a lot of my skin. So like about 80 to 85% of my chest is numb.
Really?
Because I have no feeling in the bottom part of it, yes.
And that's something, someone who's never, been close enough to people who've walked this unfortunate journey. Do they say why it has to be done that way? Is it normally for some people when they have to remove so much of a skin?
I think because it may, if I'm not mistaken, they were still some cancer cells. So they have to remove to make sure they're getting everything.
Yes.
So a lot of it had to be removed for my safety, to make sure nothing showed up, and they got it all.
Of course.
And I also wanted implants. So they were making it so that I could have implants. I believe that if I wanted to just be flat, it would have been okay. But I wouldn't have to have skin added on. But because I wanted to have something there, they had to put the skin in to accommodate the implants that I have.
Of course. When you said earlier that it was, if you knew some of the questions to ask, it was hard after the surgeries, that surgery, was it painful, or it was just a whole process of it all?
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because before they can put the implants in, they put in what they call expanders. And my expanders are up under my chest wall. And so the expanders are there to stretch the skin. Because now they've removed so much, they have to put something under it so to stretch the skin to accommodate the implant. So also I had tubes coming out on each side of my body to drain fluid and to drain blood. And to me, it was like almost like an octopus. And I hated that because they were moving and it just felt weird.
Of course.
So I had to make sure those were okay. I had to make sure when I walked, I had to make sure that they didn't get like something agitated or make it come out. It was just so, that whole process. Yeah. And then I'm still numb. So that's weird.
Of course.
I have these things, I'm going to call them tentacles, hanging out each side of my body. It's blood in the bulb. I have to empty that out and make sure and monitor that. My chest is, once this started to heal, the part that I could feel felt raw. And you have to, that's something also mentally you going through. And the whole time I'm trying to be strong. So this is me being strong, putting my head down. I'm in survivor mode and I don't want anybody to worry about me. So I'm not telling them. Mentally, I'm struggling. Exactly. Emotionally, I'm struggling. I'm isolating. I'm keeping it to myself because I'm trying to make sure everybody else around me is okay.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm struggling hard, but I'm trying to keep it. I can't be afraid. I'm a survivor. I got to make it work. And this probably came back because I was also being a single mother and
Yes.
having my daughter when I was 19. So I got a baby I had to take care of. So that immediately I've been in survival mode since then, to be honest. And so that's what I'm just trying to be okay.
Exactly.
Basically.
Did anybody ever come to you? Not our children, basically, not them mostly. And sometimes it could be them. Did anybody come and just say, CeeCee, are you okay? You don't have to pretend that everything is okay.
No. What happened was I think a lot of people, some people are not able to handle that.
Yes.
You don't know you got a friend who's dealing with some stuff, but you don't really know how to go about asking them because you're afraid as well. Because if I had a friend that was going through cancer, I'm going to be afraid. And then you don't want to bombard people with stuff because you don't know how to really deal with or ask. Yes. And I think a lot of people, my circle was just used to me being, I can handle it. I got this down. I'm all right. Yeah. And then I'm putting on a good front that I'm okay. It wasn't until, to be honest, this is the crazy part. It was after all the treatments, all the chemo, all the radiation. You're talking about a year later. And I'm home. And for some reason afterwards, I'm just calling the doctor complaining about a lot of stuff. And the last time one of the times I called, she was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're depressed.
Wow.
And I'm going, oh, yeah. Okay. So they had a counselor call me. And when she called me, that's when it just all came out. That's when first time I really cried, was when she talked to me. And she said, this is what the brain does. She said the brain puts itself and protects itself. And then after everything is done, she said, your brain handed everything back to you and goes, okay, now here, deal with all of that. And I really had to sit down and go, wow, I just had cancer again.
Yes.
Because I didn't deal with it when they told me at first. I didn't deal with it really until it was all over. And I had to sit back and look back and like, oh my God, I just had cancer again and just had a double mastectomy. That's when I began to process it, like almost a year later.
Yes. That is some important things you said right there, especially where the therapist, even the counselor said, your brain, did what it was supposed to do at the time. Now it's giving it back to you, which is really profound. And then again, like you said, you had to sit there and be like, wow, really look at what happened again and what I went through and survived again, which is a lot. And it's a lot when you try to do it and always in trying to be the strong one, trying to be that one who feels like everything is okay. I feel you on that, CeeCee. And Path listeners, that's a cue that we have to take. Sometimes even that person who everybody think is the strong one, sometimes you really do need to go to that person and just say, are you okay? It's okay not to be okay sometimes. It's okay. I know I may not be able to help or change your situation, but let you just sit here and vent, get it out, get mad, punch the air, punching cancer, punch the air, punching that divorce, punch the air, punch that depression that you're feeling, and just say, I just want you to just get it out and say, it's okay not to be okay sometimes for that moment. But yeah, you got to get back in that fight stance, of course, because you got to keep fighting.
Right, but I think
go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Right, but I think the thing was for me is I didn't want to admit that I was scared. Because to me, if I admitted I was scared, that would be a sign of weakness. And I didn't have time to be weak because I've got kids. And then at that time, I had one granddaughter, and then my daughter had another baby. So now I got 2 grandkids. I got 2 kids. I don't have time to be weak. I don't have time to be scared. I got to do what I do.
Yes.
And it wasn't working this time. It had always worked
in the past.
Up until then. And it probably wasn't working then.
Yeah.
But I thought it was working up until this point, until my brain just said, yeah, it's not working no more. And I think that's when I was like, I had to get out of survival mode and start to live. And that's why I named it my thing, survive and live, because I believe you can do both at the same time.
Yes, that is. Let me tell you, everyone, when people come up with these titles, it's not just. I don't want to say a title. This is what she lived, and that's why you know it so well. And that's why I always say too, people can't duplicate nothing you do, because and everybody's stories are different, even if they went through breast cancer. That survive and live is true to who CeeCee knows she is. And to your point of why you came up with that, because anything we go through, that's what we are doing, is trying to survive it. And now we have to turn it into living, and surviving and living at the same time.
Right.
So let me see, it was the day you posted on your page, you posted the picture of your before and then the after you had the breast surgery done. What made you do that on that day?
And so both pictures, and now those pictures were in my phone for years. I just never posted them. I just wanted to, I guess, some type of reminder. And so the first picture that I posted was after the mastectomy, but is right while I was getting radiation. So the first picture was showing the side where the radiation was, and it was dark because it was, radiation basically burning the skin. And then the second one was after the radiation and what it looked like regular.
Yes.
And so, because I want to take my nonprofit, I'm trying to build it. And I said, it's Breast Cancer Survivor Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I asked both my children, I showed them the pictures. I said, I'm going to post these. And this is the story I'm going to put with it. Is it okay? Both of them said it was okay. I was extremely scared because, again, those pictures are several years old. Yeah. And I said, I just go ahead and be vulnerable. I think nobody really knows what it looks like. They saw me fighting and hear me and what I do. I was like, I don't think nobody really knows how ugly this can be. Yeah. So I said, let me just go ahead and show that the real side of it, not the fluffy or the cute side of it.
All the cute pictures you post online, just of you.
It's not the real side of it, and this is the real side of it. This is what I'm going through, because nobody knew that I didn't have areolas and my nipples. All of that was removed. I didn't share that with anybody. Not a lot of people know that, but I'd never seen it. So that was the first time, and that's what I just was like, might as well go ahead, and that's what I did.
Wow.
So I took a chance. Either it was going to work, or it was going to go awfully bad. But it was my story, and it was mine to tell, and here it goes. Yes. So I just chose to be vulnerable, and I think that's what part of telling your story is. You got to be vulnerable at times. You have to tell. If you're not comfortable telling it all or showing it all, that's fine. But I said, if I'm just going to do it, I have to go for it and do it all and show it all. So that's what made me go ahead and show that.
And that was the time. And I think that is really what caught my attention back on your page with that post, I believe it was. And I'm like,
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yes, that really was it. And I'm like, to be bold and brave enough, as beautiful as you are. And the pictures still show the beauty and the pain. Of course, I know what you had to go through, of course. It has to touch everybody, and it has to let somebody else see again that she did it. I can make it through this. And it just touches you so much when you see the visual, because I know no one can sit here and say they want to go through that. Of course, no one can say, I say it's beautiful. I say it's beautiful because of what you had to go through. No one would want that. I know though. So I don't want to mix that up for everybody to think that I feel like, trust me, I know no one would ever want to go to that level, but thank you for sharing that, because that's what we have to see, to just know that this is a part of it.
And if I had an option, I would have never chose that for myself.
Yes.
Trust me, never in a million years. but this is my story. This is for my life. And so you can't fight it. You can't continue to fight it. Again, you can be survivor, but you have to at some point start to live. And that's what I chose to do. It's just like you've been surviving for so long.
Yeah.
When you're just going to start to live that life, and this is your path, and this is your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest way to live is just to walk in your purpose.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say I'm not scared. You're always not. I don't know if scared is the right word, but you always live with the thought of you go to the doctor and they say it's back again for a third time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend. When I first was diagnosed, she was already on her, I don't know what number diagnosis. Mm-hmm. She had up to 11 different types of cancer. Mm. And then she decided to stop getting treated. And so she passed away. Mm-hmm. But that first time I was going through with chemo the first time, she was going through chemo again. And so I was able to lean on her because she was able to guide me through that first time. So even though that first time like I said, I muted a lot of that out, but mm-hmm. she was there for me. Her name is Jackie Brown. Yeah. And she was such a ray of hope and such a strength for me to lean on. Mm-hmm. And then now that I have this, it's always her in the back of my head. Like, I'm able to do this because you did it for me.
Because, yeah, exactly.
And so I want to, if somebody can just go, I saw CeeCee, and if one person can just say, I was about to give up until I saw you.
Exactly.
Then it's all worth it.
That's exactly. And that's why we tell our stories. I posted something or said it in another podcast that we don't tell these stories to get likes or to entertain people, because this is real life. Mm-hmm. This is real life that we all wish we didn't have to go through whatever our stories are, the painful parts of it. But it is our story. So for some of us, some people don't have the strength to share it like you're sharing it, CeeCee. Some people did enough just to survive. And it's okay for those mm-hmm. people, because everybody can't come out and tell their story and share it the way you're sharing it. So that's why I think sometimes I will say God knew who would take that mantle and run with it. And that's what you're doing to help others, because like you and so many others who are out there sharing their stories, it helps tremendously for that other person who needs to stumble upon a CeeCee, to let them know, like you said, that I can make it. And you may not never know the countless of people that you're helping, but then there are some who will reach out and say thank you. So that's the blessed part of what you're doing. Let me ask you this: was cancer something that was in your family, or a history of it in your family?
I've had aunts and uncles that went through it, but as far as my mother and my father, no. Yeah. No. So this was out the blue. But then my sister, I'm the youngest. It's three of us. Mm-hmm. So my middle sister, she was diagnosed with breast cancer as well. So she had a double mastectomy, mm-hmm. and she chose to be flat. And then she also had they found something on her brain. So she's had surgery and she's doing fine now. So wonderful. I don't know if it started with me and her. Yeah. But it was me. Yes. It was me. And my mother, my father didn't have those issues, no.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, CeeCee. But, and yeah, you just never know where and why and how things start in this life. It's just hard to know. Now that you're a survivor, of course, and thank God for that, how are you living life differently if you feel like you are? I read something one time too where it said, I had hard choices ahead of me. Living became the most important part. So now you're living. How has life changed for you in some ways, if it did?
I'm looking at it different now. Like, I don't have to be so strong. Mm-hmm. If something's wrong, I can sit back and say, this is wrong. I don't feel good. I don't have to fake. Exactly. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Mm-hmm. If I feel like I need to go talk to a therapist or a counselor, I'm going to go talk. There's no shame in that.
Not at all.
I'm gonna go get the help. If I need anxiety medicine, I'm gonna go get anxiety medicine and take it
Exactly.
to help me. Um, and now, if I want to go, like this past summer, I think I was reliving, healing my inner child because I went to concerts that I wanted to go to when I was a teenager and wouldn't have been able to. So I
Yes.
went to concerts. I went out places I'd be like, I don't want to go. I was finally going ahead and letting it go
Mm-hmm.
and just living. Like, stop
Living.
having all these preconceived notions about stuff that I've never done. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do. And I'm taking chances. And so
Yes.
this right here is a chance. I don't think pre-cancer would I ever be on somebody's podcast. I wouldn't have had enough courage or self-esteem to do it now. And I don't know if I've also, because I'm an alopecian. Now, alopecia is I've lost all of my hair.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't wear wigs. So I'm bald. I'm a bald-headed woman.
Beautiful
So that
bald-headed
takes a
woman,
lot of
people.
courage. Yeah.
Let's
I'm a
say it that
bald-headed
way.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because of alopecia, I've lost all of my hair. So
Yes.
it's like it's nothing to hide. Just come on and be who you are.
Yes.
And I'm a survivor, and I was supposed to be one, and that's who I am. And this is my purpose. And it's only up from here, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to live. Whatever opportunity comes my way, whatever I feel like I want to do, I'm going to make it happen now. I'm not living in regret. I'm going to try my best not to. Anyway.
Yes. And let me tell you, that's what these obstacles come. And if we don't learn, get whatever we're supposed to get out of it, we can stay in a period, a place of depression or isolating, like we said earlier. We could stay in those places, or like you said even in your nonprofit, live. And that's exactly what you're doing. And I love that. And it blows our mind, I'm sure, to all that are listening out there today, or who will hear this episode, that you said you would have never probably even thought to come on a podcast because, for what your reasons are, but you sound like you're natural. And that's what I told you. When you share your story, it's nothing to prepare for. Basically, it's nothing to be nervous about, because it's sharing who you are. And the bold lady who put her head down and started and survived through what you survived, there's nothing that you can't do. And that's the beauty of the trials and tribulations once we come out of it. And we all wonder why we have to go through it. And I wish we never had to. And I always say, Lord, don't test me on nothing, please. Don't have to test me. Let me try to learn to grow on my own right now. Don't let me have to grow through pain. It's hard. Nobody can. I could never imagine. But everything we went through, even if you, like you said, you blocked out some of the first time, it prepared you still for today. It prepared you. And like you said, let me tell you, when I tell you we're a proponent of therapy on this show, yes, we are. Because I love now to end my years on the podcast with a therapist, because I do believe that's an important person to always talk to, because I think we need to hear it. And so we can navigate this thing called life, and navigate it with joy and with peace, and try to find whatever that strength is we need when we go through anything in our lives. So I kudos to you and all that you're doing today, and everything you're going to do in the future, because there's so much more to be done. There's so much to be done. So I
see that.
Let me ask you this: when you went through everything, did you change? I had a best friend who, she experienced lung cancer at one point. But did you have to make any dietary changes, or did you do any of that? Was that something that was recommended to you?
Yes, they definitely recommended it. And I do cut back. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not always the best at it.
Yeah.
I do what I do though is I do walk a lot.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, I make sure if I move.
Yes.
I'm walker. I'm a walker. Always have been, always will be. And if I'm not able to do anything else, I'm going to walk. So I definitely make sure I get my walk in. I have to make sure I drink enough water. I'm not going to say, again, I'm a health nut. I'm not at all. And
Yeah.
now as you get older, your body changes. You have to make sure you watch what you eat. You can't eat as much as you used to or what you used to. So my my taste have changed as far as food goes. And now that I just turned 54 October the 3rd. So now I'm like,
Happy
okay, you're
birthday.
getting older. You got to watch it. So
Mhm.
now I'm definitely being more concerned about what I eat, but
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that I all the time. I'm not even
exactly.
going to lie because I
Of
don't.
course. That makes sense to me. Trust me. But it was just something I was wondering for anyone out there, if your doctors were big on you about doing certain things, which becomes to food, eating and supplements and different things like that. So as we move on in the show, let me ask you this, CeeCee. I read something where you told your story in a book. How did that come about, and what is that about?
Okay, so it was I came across it is called Reform Pinktober,
Hmm.
and they were asking for submissions of your story for a book.
Hmm.
I submitted it, and it was included in the book. It's called Reform Pinktober, and they're raising money for an association called Medivivor, and it's for research into stage 4 breast cancer.
Okay.
And I was so excited and so honored to be a part of that. And
Mhm.
the book is called Reform Pinktober, and it's available on Amazon now.
Reform Pinktober. And if it's okay, I
Yes,
will put that in our show notes once this episode drops, if that's okay. I'll make mention that we mentioned
definitely.
that. Okay, perfect. And you say it goes towards Metaviver?
Medivivor, which is research towards stage 4 breast cancer.
Wow, that's awesome. Because it's not, you can never have too much research done um, for that. So here's a few other questions I would like to just ask. And like I told everyone, I could talk to CeeCee and we can get more into everything. She's going to you're going to have to follow her, and we will share how you can do that. And for anybody, maybe I'm sure who have questions that maybe only a person like CeeCee could answer. That her page is so inspirational that anybody could go to that page if you're feeling like you need a pick me up, or your stuff is positive and it's always encouraging. And so no matter what, it's sometimes it takes some people to see other people going through what they've gone through to understand
Hmm.
maybe I don't even complain about life. So
Thank you.
some people can complain about just I have an issue with some people cutting me off in traffic. Sometimes you realize that is
Right.
not the most important thing to be complaining about. And sometimes we have to see somebody else's story, as well as if you got a family member who has gone through or is going through anything that CeeCee is going through, that you may handle it differently by listening to this episode. And that's the question I want to ask you. Tell me something, CeeCee, that what was there ever anything that you would tell a person if their family member was to hear those 4 words, you have breast cancer, that they should not say, or not, or you would suggest that they do say? Is there any recommendations? Because sometimes we say things because we don't know what to say. And it's like, oh, it's going to be okay. Is there anything that you would suggest we say or don't say to a family member or friend?
Okay. Well, the word I did not like was to call me strong.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
cannot. I don't like being like you're so strong. I'm not strong.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for my life, and I'm afraid to die. This is why I'm fighting. I'm I wouldn't have never chose this for myself. I
Mm,
don't want to go through it, but
exactly.
I have to live. I have children I have to be here for. I have grandchildren I have to watch grow up.
Yeah.
I don't choose to do this. I really, to me, I don't have a choice but to go through this. I'm scared.
Yes.
I hate it. I don't enjoy it, and I'm not strong. I'm shivering on the inside.
Yes.
So that's what I don't want any. I I don't like that word. I didn't want anybody to call me that. But what I do suggest though is if you just try to see beyond the wall that someone that I let me speaking of me, the wall that you put up because you don't want
Yeah.
to burden somebody with what you're going through because you think you're burdening them. And
Yes.
reality goes, you're talking to a friend who may not have cancer, but if or know what it is, but if you just wanna, I just gotta talk, and don't
Mm,
say nothing, just let me vent. And you'll
exactly.
get a friend, and they'll be on the phone. Go ahead, and just be that ear. You don't have to say anything positive. You don't have to say you can make it. You don't have to say you're strong. Just say, okay, is there anything that I can do for you to make today better? And then that would be the encouragement. Oh, do you want me to go with you to chemo?
Yes.
You want me to? Do you need a ride? Any
Mm,
something like that. But but the the common positive phrases that you go to, like it's
mhm.
okay, you're strong, you can do it. No, sometimes you don't want to hear that. I just
Yes.
want you to understand. Be scared with me, and I'm saying that now, but I wish I would have been able to process that then. Like nothing about this is easy. I'm making it look easy. I promise you, it's not easy. So maybe just try to just sit there and go. I can I hold your hand? I just sit and hold your hand. Just that. Just try to be there in spirit. And
That is
that was what I
powerful.
would have, if I would have let somebody do that. I didn't let anybody do that, but had I let somebody do that for me, that's what
Yes.
I would have wanted.
Thank you for that, CC, because sometimes we have to hear, past listeners, we have to hear that. So we'll know what to not say. We have to stop saying those things, to your point. And I'm,
Hmm.
because you touched me so when you said, I'm not strong. I'm scared. I'm fighting for my life and I'm afraid to die. Past listeners, if you do anything, if you don't get anything else from this, is some of the things that that part is one of the most important things right there, because you're still going to, like she said, you're still going to be there for them, because she said, just sit there with me or take me to the chemo or radiation, or just sit with them and just listen. So the things to do and not to do, those are the things that we need to start listening and paying attention to. That is very important. Thank you for sharing that, CeeCee.
No, thank you for listening.
No, thank you, because those are the things, and that's why I enjoy talking to people, because it helps me grow and what to learn what to say and not to say, because these things are very important, because no one understands that that life and that fight but you. No one.
Hmm.
So that is something I will always remember you saying, of course. So for sake of time, CeeCee, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to share with the past listeners today, or something that is on your heart that you would want to share regarding your survive and live, or just whatever you want to share right now? Please do so.
Just to anybody who hears it, if you feel like you're stuck in survival mode and you just don't know how to get out of it, I encourage you, even if you just go to counseling one time,
Mhm.
just get that off of your chest. And I do like, but for me to go through breast cancer, to understand that I could survive and live. I didn't have to always be a warrior. I didn't
Yeah.
always have to be strong. I didn't have to always, it was okay. And basically, I found somewhere it says, don't fight the fight.
Don't fight the fight.
Don't fight the fight. It's sometimes some stuff you're going to go through, you're going to have to fight, and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
scared, and you're going to feel weak, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's people out there going through what you're going through, or maybe even worse. It's get the help that you need, seek it. You don't have to go through it alone,
Yes.
and you can survive and live at the same time. I hope that made
Mm. Made perfect sense. That made perfect sense. So tell us, CeeCee, how can people connect with you and follow you and survive and live life?
okay. I'm on Instagram, and it's Survive and Live Life After Breast Cancer. Um, I try to post daily, and I'm trying to grow it bigger. So in 2024, I got some big things I'm trying to plan,
Great.
and follow me. And I hope you find something, even if it's just one thing. But I hope, if I reach just one person, I've done what I'm supposed to do. But
That's
I want to reach a nation. So that's what my purpose and that's what my plan is to do, is to reach the world. and grab everybody I can. And if I reach my hand back and grab a sister or a brother, that person will reach their hand back and grab somebody, and that person will reach their hand back, and then we're just gonna pull each other along.
Keep
And
pulling,
that's how I
just
see
keep
it.
pulling, right?
Right. We just pull each other along.
And I saw you posted something about that, and I saw where you posted something where like you were so excited and happy for other people who they were going through their last treatment or they're ringing that bell. You understand that joy, and so it's just like you were excited, just so excited for them, and that's what it's just.
Yeah.
Each one just keep reaching and pulling everybody
Right.
so they can get to that point of ringing that bell, like
Yeah.
everybody does. And that's and so you said your handle, what is it on Instagram again?
Survive and live life after breast cancer.
Survive and live life after breast cancer. And I will put all of that in the show notes. So definitely, that's the only page. Do you have Facebook or anything?
No, I'm strictly on Instagram.
Instagram. Okay, perfect. And we will be looking for those big things that's going to happen in 2024. You make sure the Path Podcast is a friend of Survive and Live Life. So anything I can do to help share that information, please let me know, because that is our purpose, is to make sure everybody wins at this, whatever they're going through in their lives. So I'm here and I would be happy to help share that along and the purpose that you have planned for the future with Survive, Live, and Live Life. So thank you, CeeCee. I really appreciate you coming on the Path Podcast.
Thank you again for having me. It was my pleasure. Thank you so, so much.
No, I thank you, because Path listeners, this is not going to be her only time. She's already sharing her story. She's already in books. I don't know why she make it seem like this is any different. She's already in a book. She's already doing it online. This lady has done so much more than she gives herself credit. You have done, I talk to the Path listeners, so let me say to you, CeeCee, you have done more than you're giving yourself credit. You are already out there doing the work. You are already further along than some other people thinking they are, because it's new to you, but you're already doing it. So I'm excited to see what else is coming for you in the future in this nonprofit.
Thank you so, so much. I needed that encouragement. Thank you.
Oh, yes. She's already doing it. The one thing I know, CeeCee, you would do with me before I end the show, we want to encourage everyone, if you believe, let me ask you first to make sure you agree with me. Everyone go get those mammograms regularly.
Definitely. And even if you don't go get I definitely get a mammogram. But also, if you feel something and something's not right, tell your doctor. If your doctor doesn't agree with you, it's okay. Go get a second opinion. I think where we get stuck is we have this one doctor and we think we have to stay with that doctor. You don't. If you don't feel like you're being treated properly, you're not being heard, go get a second opinion. It's okay. This is your life.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because I know you would agree with mammograms, but I knew you would have more to add to that. And that's what I wanted. Because Path listeners, I've always heard, you know your body. Mm-hmm. Go somewhere else. They're there to help you. So if you feel something is not right, everything CeeCee just said just now, please adhere to that. Don't feel like you're obligated to any one person. You're obligated to living your life and surviving.
Right.
Anything
You'd be surprised. People have changed their detergent and their soap without any question, but will stay with a doctor that they don't believe is really helping them.
Yes.
And so that's, and I don't know if that's the way we're geared, but if you're not happy with one doctor, then definitely go to another one. And demand to be heard.
Past listeners, I don't think there's nothing more I can say. We just hope you do exactly what CeeCee said. We hope you heard her story and it inspires you to survive and live a life that is intended for you. CeeCee, again, I want to thank you for coming on the Path Podcast.
Thank you again so much for having me.
Until next time, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms, so you can stay up on our bi-weekly, real conversations with these bold women. You can follow The Path Podcast on Facebook at The Path Podcast and on Instagram and Twitter at The Path_podcast. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or have questions for a future show, you can email us at thepath4ward@gmail.com. That's thepathforward@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a speaker or you're in need of a life coach, please reach out to me. Again, at thepathforward@gmail.com or at ACKORLEH@gmail.com. Thank you. Until next time.